I do want to open up for a short amount of time, possibly one or two questions, so I'm just going to line Alex up to find another microphone. But I just wanted to go, so I'll go back to this slide. I don't know about you, but I saw the slides before they came up, and that bird's eye view of Cologne just makes my heart smile. As I just sat there grinning at the screen last night. Yeah, brilliant. I love the, and of course Fitsell for getting us all together with Cologne. So, just, yeah, maybe two questions. Is anybody? Yeah, straight over there. You just wait for the microphone. Sorry, I should also just say that this event will be filmed and filmed, so if you ask a question, you'll be filmed.
Hello, thanks. That was a series of fascinating talks, but just specifically relating to the last one, and the issue, you said that defence and policing is 100% the state. I was quite interested recently to hear that Mayor Mamdani in New York has, by increasing the availability of food and doing various other things, has cut, I think, burglaries or violent burglaries and robberies by 25%. So actually providing good food and job opportunities and all those other things have got an influence on defence and policing, although it's not direct spending on it. Thanks.
That's a lovely opportunity for me to share a statistic, which is that for every £1 you spend on food within a supermarket, it's going to cost somebody else about 90p. And that is through the government pays, your council tax pays for the waste collection from all of that packaging. We're not paying for the water extraction that's happening in the south of Spain to produce most of our out-of-season vegetables. And the aquifer, I was visiting a co-op with those producers a couple of years ago, and their aquifer's gone from 50 metres below the surface to 200 metres below the surface. And when they get to 300 metres, they will fail to pump it out, basically, and that's about 15 years away. So there's all sorts of things that nobody's paying for. And you've just highlighted another statistic, which I'll look into to add to that list. So yes, when you spend a pound on good food, then you're not charging somebody else 90p for the waste that you left behind.
Okay. Another question? Down here at the front. Yeah, John.
Thank you. Fantastic presentations. Really enjoyed them both. I guess my question is for Joe. The 92% of the food provided in Scotland by supermarkets, is that not one of the barriers? Is there going to be pushback from that sector in terms of trying to have a fairer and more equitable distribution of food?
Is anybody an investor from Tesco's here? No, right, okay, well, I'll just carry on with the answer I was going to give then. Yes, precisely. And that's why I started out by saying we shouldn't lull ourselves into thinking we're in a kind of a nice food system that could get better. We're in an appalling food system that rapidly needs to needs to be able to feed us properly. And there will be some profit pushback against that. But also there's actually detachment that's taking place. The reason that the co-op services lots of small islands and remote places in the Highlands is because the large companies have done the numbers and they can't make a profit there. So they withdraw, as banks have done with bank branches over the last 10 years, they withdraw service provision where it doesn't make a need. So once people start to buy from other places, then at some point the sending that truck, if it's only half full, doesn't become economically possible. So that is a response, and they will. One response to that has been having these, Tesco Quick, and the various sort of, they're basically trying to take over the small sector. And Booker's, who are the main cash and carry that supplies small retailers in the Highlands Islands, is owned by Tesco's. They are actually, and when that came before the Competition and Markets Authority 4 years ago, they said it doesn't matter. Tesco and the small people are operating in a completely different market. They're not. That's expanded. Tesco in the Highlands and Islands has approximately 60% of all of those sales. Okay, so that is a behemoth, and we just undermine it. Basically, I think is the response to that is that we can do things better. We held a school meals contract for 4 years, along with several other small growers. And the reason that we were given that contract and got a good price for it was that we could provide fresher food, we could provide farm visits for educational groups, we could train up new people coming out of school to join our work team. So we were able to succeed in that contract. They gave us a much higher price because we could deliver other social value that sat alongside it. And for once, we got paid for that.
Thank you. Is that? Sorry, I don't know your name at the back yet. Yeah, just wait till you get the microphone. Oh, Anne, sorry, I'm short-sighted. We live next door to each other. I might have to go and get my eyes checked.
Hello, neighbour. I just want to thank you for that. That's inspirational. I'm aware that there's lots of groups who want to do this, but they're all islands of hope. How do we provide them with the infrastructure, the knowledge and the money to be able to do this? Because that's how the big supermarkets, if you like, outcompete the smaller guys.
Say something. You know, it's an interesting thought about supermarkets. I don't know how many have been to, from the northeast of England, northwest of England, and gone to one of Booth's supermarkets. The Booth's group is fascinating. They were formed from a young man who had a terrible, terrible life this is the mid-19th century, and he managed by hard work and integrity to build relationships in the community and gradually build a business. And it's still today run by the family, and they retain the values of the founder. And one of the characteristics of Booths is they actually encourage small producers. I mean, to an extent that there are a number of producers, and Booths themselves have stories of people who just started making something on a kitchen table and developed. And in fact, Edwin Booth, the managing director of the company, was very much influenced by the late Gordon Baxter here at Fochabers and his social values and community values. I sometimes think that it would be a good thing if somebody could maybe invite someone from Booths, or even if the Scottish government could encourage, because the values that they've got are tremendous. And it could be done because you could, for instance, in national planning legislation, you could put something in about about supermarkets and planning permission, saying that basically they had to have a certain amount of shelf area, a certain percentage of shelf area that had local products. So I think there is a way, but I'm really impressed by this company. And I think it's also interesting what Joe said about the co-op, because I do remember in Orkney the idea of community cooperatives came, and the idea of Papa Westry, it had population about 100 people, and the shop was closing. They set up a community cooperative flourishing today, and it's the co-op. The co-op provide facilities for and distribution to community cooperatives. So again, it shows what can be done if the right ethos and values are there in these bigger units.
Really good examples. Thank you, Howie. A couple of things. One is we need to bring those small groups together under an umbrella, because often they're voluntary. And if we're going to turn this into a larger food system, it needs to become the business and the profession of quite a lot of people. So we need to link together that voluntary effort and turn it into a business structure. We don't have good examples of that here in Scotland. The examples that I know and have worked with of small producer cooperatives are in France and Italy, and actually in Norway. I was visiting Norway last year, where they have a group of 240 small-scale apple producers, my size of farm. The largest farm I visited, all the farms there were between 3 and 12 hectares, so really quite a small farm in very remote locations. They made Stornoway look like Hong Kong. There was so they were very, very remote locations. But between those 240 producers, they've set up 2 cooperatives, one for Sognefjord and one for Nordfjord, and they've got public investment to help build the pack houses, and then they've got a contract with an intermediary who supplies any of the supermarkets rather than having to go with one of them. And that group of producers are now supplying 20% of all of the apples that are eaten in Norway. Okay, so that was a fantastic, I just didn't think that was going to be possible until I met Ed. And the key thing, I was visiting with them for a week, and then it was only on like the 4th day that they said, oh, we didn't tell you about the import duty. So what happens in Norway, the government has tweaked a very tiny bit of import regulation. And during the months of September, October and November, which are the 3 months of the harvest of apples in Norway, and you don't want to pay to store them in a shed, then they actually add 90 cents, almost a euro, 80p, onto every kilo of apples that's imported just for those 3 months. And firstly, I didn't know that was possible because they're in the European Economic Area. And secondly, blimey, I've never had a conversation about price with anybody within the public sector in Scotland, because that's okay. So that's the level of sort of finesse that was needed to bring that about. So we have to look around for good examples. And one of them, the investment arm of it, is also where do you spend your money? Where do you put your money? If you're going to put some money aside for old age, then what is it doing for you? And I think that actually you would get a better return by investing it in a collective investment that's helping support the investment of a farm, like Ekopia are doing. You will get more benefit for your £1,000 that you put in, because soaking up carbon, providing you with a good diet, employing local people, then you will get a return on investment of 6% or something at the best rate from the bank. So move your money and then a collective structure to use it.
Great, thank you. On that note, I'll draw it to a close because we've got taster sessions starting at 11:30, so they may start slightly late, I'm sorry. But firstly, I just wanted to mention that both Joe and Howie have volunteered their time to come and speak to us this morning. So please, can we just show our appreciation?